Time is going differently in One Piece, and I'm here to let you know why. First of all, I want to start by giving a little definition to what a chamber of time is. A chamber of time, just like we saw in Dragon Ball Z, for example, for the OGs, I mean, basically the time chamber or the chamber of time is a place or a building or whatever where somebody can go, and in that place, time goes differently from where time goes in reality. And in that place, for example, you can be spending 2 hours, 3 hours. Well, in real life, you might have spent like 5 days or 6 days, or vice versa. You might, for example, spend days and maybe years in the air, and then in real life, you might have spent just a couple minutes, for example. And in the example of Dragon Ball Z, you go into that time chamber and you train for a couple of years even, and as soon as you come out you discover that, oh yeah, a few days have went. So you can see how time is different in a way. So in the world of One Piece, I believe that Elbaf might be a chamber of time or a time chamber for the One Piece world. So by going into Elbaf, two options. It's either you can spend a lot of days and then in reality of the rest of the One Piece world you will have spent like a few days, or vice versa. You might spend like 2, 3 days, and then in real life, you actually spent like 20 days or even a month or something like that. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. And I have a couple clues and a couple evidences to the theory that I have for today. And my first one, of course, is when Im-sama actually showed up into the battleground. And Im-sama said in the first statement that she said, we gotta finish what's going on in Elbaf. That way you guys can come back to Marijois and help with whatever's going in Marijois. But when you think about it, the God's Knight showed up to Elbaf literally a couple minutes ago, or like not even an hour ago. And Im-sama, right after an hour of them showing up into Elbaf, and Im-sama is already like, yeah, it's been a while. Like, what is the hustle? Why are you taking so long to come back to Marijois? And now Marijois, something happened. So that already gives us a hint of what's going on over there. Like, they didn't live for that long. So, and you still have people fighting over there for you. So why do you need more people to back you up? That's what, maybe a few days in Elbaf, for example. It's been a day or two since Luffy is in Elbaf, for example. So for that time being, you convert it into reality time in One Piece, for example. That is the equivalent to, I don't know, 30 days, for example. Like 1 day in Elbaf is the equivalent of 30 days in the real world of One Piece. And the second thing that's also given me a hint of maybe time is going differently than in the rest of the world of One Piece is because the giants can grow old until like they are 300 and something years old. And currently, the oldest giant we have is currently like 414 years old or something like that. And it's Yarrow. And Yarrow, being the oldest giant ever, is here to prove, hey, Yarrow actually stayed for a whole long time in Elbaf, and it seems like the more you stay in Elbaf, the more you can survive more through time in a way. Because I believe that the oldest you are in Elbaf, then you risk more of dying. But we didn't know that any giant can go to like 400 or even more. You never know. But giants, I am definitely telling you, by the way they are aging to like 300 years old or something like that, we all understand that their size, yes, means that they're going to be probably living a little bit more than the regular human beings in One Piece. But still, it's not a reason enough to say, oh, that's the main reason why they're going to be aging that long. We haven't seen it yet, but maybe giants outside of Elbaf are aging differently from giants in Elbaf. So maybe if you are a giant and you're in or outside of Elbaf, maybe those two same giants will grow differently, for example. Just like the same example of that experiment. If you have a set of twins, for example, a set of twin brothers, and you leave one on Earth and you send one in the space, if for the same amount of time they both will not age the same. They will actually age differently. And that's why I'm saying by going to a different place, you might age differently. And by that, I'm saying that yes, third big point, that message that we got in the beginning of Elbaf, saying that, oh, you should not just go with the fantasy and just forget yourself and keep going. Because if you stay too long in Elbaf, then you're gonna forget. Because if you stay too long in Elbaf, then maybe something will happen, and that maybe that something is the fact that you will live a little bit more than the regular people outside of the world of Elbaf, you know? And so maybe that by living on Elbaf, times goes actually way different outside of Elbaf. And so from each one of these clues, we have 3 clues already. Imsama saying, yeah, it's been a while since you guys have left or whatever. The second one, the giants are not aging the same as the normal human beings in One Piece. The third one is the message that we got from the beginning of the arc of Elbaf. I am telling you, we might be in a case of a time chamber, just like in Dragon Ball Z, where you go over there, you spend a little bit of time, but as soon as you get out of there, you actually see that, oh shit, how much time has it been, you know? And my theory is, it's not gonna be the case of like you spend 4 or 5 days in Elbaf and then outside of the world it's been 2 minutes. I don't think so. What I think is, if you spend like 5 days in Elbaf, you would have spent 35 days outside of Elbaf in the real world in a way. And why I also say so, it's because a lot of mythology is around all of this arc of Elbaf. And by having the giants, by having all of this Nork folklore in a way, just like one other folklore that I know of, they absolutely can go to that island or whatever, where it's a fairy island where everything that happens in there is magical and they get enchanted and whatever, whatnot. And that's how they spend a few days in a very fairy place in a way. That's probably the fairy place of One Piece, you know, the fairy Elbaf. And on that note, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you believe Elbaf is a fairy island where time goes different, let me know down in the comments below. Peace.